Welcome back, everybody. Did you know May is Foster Care Month? CASA, or Court-Appointed Special Advocates, are volunteers who are specially trained to champion for children in the foster care system. Joining us today from Texas CASA are Colin Aycock and Catherine Herlick, here to tell us more about the organization. Oh, good morning.
Good morning.
Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you for joining us because it is such an important organization. So Colin, my first question to you is to talk to us a little bit more about Texas CASA and who it is y'all serve.
Sure. So as you mentioned, CASA stands for Court-Appointed Special Advocate. These are trained community volunteers appointed by a judge to advocate for a child or a youth or sibling group that's in the foster care system, in the child welfare system. They've been removed from their home due to abuse or neglect. So the CASA volunteer makes sure that that child has a voice in court, in school, in their lives, and it's a really, really rewarding experience. CASA volunteers spend a lot of time getting to know the child, their case, meeting with the child regularly, talking with their caregivers, their doctors, their teachers, to really understand the entire case and make sure that their best interests are being met. Their safety needs, their educational needs, their physical and mental health needs. So at Texas CASA, we look at support from a big picture lens, and we support the entire CASA network. There are more than 70 CASA organizations across the state in many different communities. So we provide them with the tools, the training, and the resources so that those volunteers and every CASA program has what they need to advocate for the best interests of children.
So when I think about it, I think an adult's lens can see a lot more than a child's lens can. So when you're like amplifying that child's voice, you are able to say, hey, you know, this child is feeling unheard or is scared or has said to me that they feel a certain way about what's happening to them in a court system. And, you know, these little ones are not going to have the ability to take the stand, right? And probably fight for what they really want. So this is why CASA is so important.
Yes. So there, as of last year, there are about 28,000 Texas children in the child welfare system.
That's huge.
And a little more than 18,000 of them have a CASA volunteer, so there are thousands that still need an advocate. And a little less than half of all of those children are 0 to 5 years old.
Wow.
Yeah, exactly as you said. They have little to no capacity to be able to advocate for themselves. And then another 20% are teenagers, and so they run the risk of exiting the system with few to no connections. So it's really important for us to ensure that all of those volunteers, all of those local CASA programs have the tools and the resources they need to advocate for each of those unique situations.
Because I've said it on this show before, if you age out of foster care right at 18, all resources end. So it's important that we get an advocate on their side, someone they can trust. Tell their, we don't want secrets, do we? We only hold on to surprises, but we want the kids to open up and to have someone that they can rely on, because it's possible that through the court system they have not had someone that they could, rely on like they would a parent or a guardian at home. Okay, I could talk to you guys about this for a very long time, but Colin, I'm glad you mentioned how big the need is. Catherine, I want to ask you about what volunteering actually looks like, because you guys have brought some really cool tools to help volunteers kind of get in touch with kids.
Yeah, absolutely. So volunteers, they build relationships with these kiddos, their parents, and their families. And so here in Texas, we created something called Collaborative Family Engagement. And it's really about building that support system for the child and their family, so that way that child can have the positive future and thrive. So part of Collaborative Family Engagement are the use of some tools, so volunteers are able to go meet with a child and use something like a deck of cards. This is a tool we created, and so it's a normal deck of cards. Ace through King is on here, so you could play any game you might with a deck of cards, such as Go Fish or Battle. And while you're playing that game, you can ask some of the questions that are on the cards. And so a few examples of some questions is like, who is someone you go to when you need help? And then we also ask, like, what is a day you will always remember? Really wanting volunteers to learn what's important to that child. That way that volunteer really can advocate for that child's best interest in the courtroom to the judge.
And and serve them best. Okay, we're in our last minute here, but I do want to ask Catherine, fewer kids, which is crazy because we've just said 28,000, fewer kids are entering the foster system, but the issues are more serious nowadays. Can you talk to me about what's happening with the flip here?
Yeah, that's absolutely right. So there are fewer children entering the foster care system, but what we're seeing is that they're facing far more complex challenges. So our volunteers are telling us that these kiddos are experiencing more trauma, they actually have increased mental health needs, and there's fewer placements available for them. So CASA volunteers really make such a big difference, and they are needed more now than ever before. And so volunteers are the ones who are consistently in that child's life with their parents and family. They are advocating for that child to be safe, and they're also advocating for that placement to be strong and stable, whether that be with a relative or another caring, loving adult.
Get them the best situation they can get them to be in, to ensure their education and their mental well-being. I think it's so awesome. Okay, Colin, in just about the last 10 seconds we have here, anything else that people should know if they're interested maybe in volunteering?
Absolutely. Being a CASA volunteer is one of the most rewarding things you can do, and we will walk you through that process. You can go to our website, texascasa.org, to find that out. And if you don't have time to volunteer, if you could donate, that means the world. It really helps us be able to deploy resources and develop resources for the entire CASA network.
Really good points here. Thank you both so much for your time today. We appreciate what you do for our kids.
Thank you.
All right. To learn more, visit texascasa.org. And if you think you're ready to volunteer, first of all, thank you in advance for your big heart, and head to becomeacasa.org to get started.